Hello, everyone, and welcome to Siemens Network Connections podcast. My name is Brian Duval, and I'm here today with Mike Boyso. He's Siemens Copper Business Team Leader, and we're going to talk about something very near and dear to Mike's heart, and that's Category 6A Twisted Pair Copper Cabling. Before we actually jump into the cool stuff, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself so we know who we're talking to?
Hey, Brian. Yeah, good to talk to you. I've been with the Siemon company now 15 years. I've had various roles in product management, and honestly, I've had the opportunity to manage a number of different product lines. But over the last close to 10 years now, I've been primarily responsible for copper systems. So, pretty much global product line direction for copper. That encompasses everything from obviously copper cable to all of our connectivity, such as outlets and patch panels, patch cords. Pre-terminated copper trunks. It's a pretty diverse product line and a big part of the company, and it's a great function within Siemon company.
Yeah, I love the fact that we've got a pretty strong fiber line too, but there's a real healthy sense of competition between you guys and the fiber team, I think. Now, I know a little bit about you personally, and married, kids.
Yes.
I was blown away by the fact that you have your kids into fencing, which I think has got to be the coolest thing ever for a kid to do. But could you tell us a little bit about your personal life?
Two kids, married, 2 kids. I've got basically kind of middle school age kids. I've got a daughter, 11, a son who's 12. And they keep me busy and they keep me young. That's the best part about kids, for sure.
Well, as a dad of teenagers, I say they keep you young when they're that age, and they start aging you really quick when they become teenagers. But I'd actually like to start with a challenge, and this is getting back to Cat 6A, and that's if you were given less than a minute to bring me up to speed on Category 6A in general, what would you tell me?
Okay, so on the clock, 60 seconds. Here we go. 6A has been, around for quite a while, but in terms of, applications that are coming to market, we've seen an explosion of that over the last few years, maybe 5-6 years. And so there's still, a lot of upside potential for 6A. 6A is from just looking at the standard, it's a 500 megahertz upper bandwidth frequency. You can go a full 100 meters on the channel, 90 meter permanent link. It supports 10 gig, applications. When 6A first came out, we saw a lot of that going into data centers. And today, we have a lot more to talk about in the enterprise space as we talk about Wi-Fi, support for power over Ethernet, audio visual applications, security. And so we're starting to see more of those kind of end device type applications where 6A is being deployed, even more so than the data center, which I think, right now everyone understands that if I'm putting copper in the data center, I'm going to be running 10 gig. And so that's understood. That's happening. And it's been happening for probably a decade now or more. But now, where we're starting to see some real vitality is to end devices in the enterprise environment.
Now, I understand that there's 2 main configurations. There's obviously UTP, the unshielded, and shielded. And I know Siemon offers both. What would you tell an end customer or a contractor? What would you tell them? How would you help them choose the best option for their application?
Yeah, Brian, at the, where we start the conversation always is with 6A shielded. We've been doing that for quite some time, and we've had great success with our customers talking about 6A shielded. And I think the reason why that is, if you break it down into really simple terms, is that a shielded system just offers the most flexibility and versatility for the wide range of applications, environments that your copper system is going to be deployed in, right? I mean, at the end of the day, as someone who's sitting in front of a customer or installer, you don't really know exactly what's going to happen when that system gets in the field. You don't exactly know what they're going to be facing in the installation. You don't exactly know what's going to be happening in that building. Maybe there's going to be a lot of kind of noise and humming going on. Maybe there's some tight bends. You just really don't know. Maybe they're going to be running power over Ethernet to a whole lot of end devices. Maybe they're not. And so when we step back and we say, we're going to put forward a 6A solution that just covers everything and does it, that does it really, really well, we always start with 6A shielded because, it's going to offer the most immunity. It's going to provide the most ANEX performance. It's going to deliver on PoE applications. It's going to deliver that 10 gig application, right every time, without fail, no concerns. It's more robust from an installation point of view. We just know this from a 6A shielded perspective. And I think that's why we always start with that when we're sitting in front of our customers.
Now, you mentioned something in there that I know you mentioned annexed. That was a really super big deal when Cat 6A first came out. But can you actually describe what that is for people who may not be familiar?
Yeah, so alien crosstalk, pretty simple. If you understand that, a common installation practice is that you're going to have cables in for example, tray. So one cable surrounded by others as they're trying to get from the closet out to the work area. So what alien crosstalk looks at, it looks at the impact of noise from cables that surround another cable. So you actually measure, you call it the victim cable. That's the one, think of that one as in the center. And we run testing in the lab with a bundle, 6 of cables around that one victim cable. And you actually measure the noise that goes from the outside of the cable inside the cable. And 6A was the first standard that really said, hey, this actually has an impact, at this frequency, on this application. And so there are requirements for lowering that. And so essentially from a 6A shielded perspective, by having a foil or potentially multiple foils, you essentially eliminate that. There's just no way noise is getting into that shielded cable.
So the opening conversation recommendation is 6A shielded. I mean, can you tell us about some of the actual stars in that 6A line? Some of the individual products. You mentioned it end to end. I mean,
yeah.
What does that mean, and what are all this cool stuff?
Yeah.
Cool
so now we're starting to get into my happy place. We're going to talk specific products. So yeah, Siemon company has a lot of great 6A products. We launched ZMAX, believe it or not, it's been over 10 years ago, where we really reinvented the 6A outlet. And we've had amazing success in the marketplace with ZMAX. Our installers love using it and terminating in the field. End users at the end of the day are thrilled with the overall performance. We've actually even have some nice features associated with our distribution partners that allow them to carry fewer part numbers and still offer the flexibility of, for example, a ZMAX outlet that can do flat and angled with one part number. And it kind of helps eliminate kind of the number of part numbers that you have to support through the channel. So, at the end of the day, it starts with ZMAX. We have a really great ZMAX outlet. We offer that both in shielded and in UTP. Within the last couple of years, recognizing the need to do modular plug terminated links, we came out with a great 6A field term plug. We call that Z plug. We use that for both shielded as well as UTP installations. It handles a wide range of conductor types, solid, stranded, et cetera, different gauges. And again, very similar to ZMAX. Really success in the market with folks just appreciating how that plug terminates very easily. It's intuitive. The performance is there to support 6A every time. So from like kind of the engine, if you will, on the outlet and plug side, we have that well covered. We've done some other things too. On our patch cord product line, we have a very diverse, broad product line. ZMAX patch cords that support, the high-end performance where we have a PCB embedded in the plug, which then, really mates very well with the PCB that's in our ZMAX outlet, and it just drives 6A performance. We have blade patch cords for that push-pull connector for really tight, high-density applications. We've come out with skinny patch cords, which is a 28 gauge conductor, obviously a very small diameter cord, also really good for data center applications where you're trying to minimize kind of that blocking of airflow through your cabinets. Or if you just need a smaller diameter cable going into an end device and you just need kind of a slimmer cord. We've got you covered with Skinny Patch, and we've just come out with a brand new locket patch cord for adding a little bit of security. If you have a patch cord and you want to lock it in place, we have a locket cord that can support not only the standard 26 gauge, but also our 28 gauge Skinny Patch line through Locket. So, we have a lot of great products. We have some great cable options, both UTP and shielded around the world that we support in various jacket types. And so we really have 6A covered from top to bottom with some wonderful products.
We also know there's a lot of markets that are still primarily UTP. So if you were sitting in front of a customer that has a strong reason, good reason to go UTP, by market preference or just personal preference, what would you say to them?
Yeah, so thanks, Brian, for that question. And as we talked about earlier, we always start the conversation with our 6A shielded system, and we do believe that's the optimal solution. But there are a number of customers out there who are looking for a UTP solution, and we brought a ZMAX 6A UTP system to market at the same time as our shielded system, and we've had really great success with that system as well. Our customers really do enjoy, between our UTP and shielded system, the overall consistent user experience. The overall appearance of the outlets is the same. The usability is the same. You could do flat and angled in the faceplate with one part number, as we've talked about. The termination process is identical between the shielded and UTP outlets. So whether you choose UTP or shielded, certainly from an outlet perspective, it's really very similar from an overall user's experience. When you talk about the cable side of things, we acknowledge that there have been some advances with the UTP technology. We've seen barrier layers come to market, which have helped get those UTP cables smaller. They do generally a pretty good job of dissipating heat for supporting PoE type applications. So on the cabling side, we've seen some advances there as well. But when you put that all together in channel, again, we still come back to that overall shielded solution. So even when we look at our patch panels, we have a 1U 48 port patch panel. We can do that both in shielded and in UTP. We have some advances, even in our patch panel, that might not be completely obvious to the end user, but we do some things within the panel and the outlets that help create separation between outlets on the UTP and shielded side, which helps support ANEX, which we talked about earlier in the podcast. So really all the way through the channel, and we've talked about patch cords, we've talked a little bit about cable, we've talked about the outlet, we've talked about Z-plug that can support UTP and shielded. So whether our customer chooses shielded or UTP, we really do have that covered, and we can support that, and we feel really good about that system, whether or not they go UTP or shielded. Even though we would recommend shielded, we certainly understand that there's some folks that prefer UTP.
Now, before we close out, I'm going to make things just a little bit tough on you with something we do lightning round. And
oh boy, here we go.
Well, I like to mix industry stuff in with stuff that may be a little bit more personal. But I think it makes for fun, and at least it's fun for me, because especially if I make people sweat a little bit. But so when will you get over Tom Brady leaving your beloved Patriots?
Yeah, I'm over it. I hated to see Tom go. Obviously he's a Hall of Famer. He's the GOAT. But you have to wish him well. I don't hold anything against him. He did great things this past year with Tampa Bay. It's just an incredible story. The fact that he just won another Super Bowl ring. I fully expect that he'll come back to the Patriots as at least for a one-day contract, and he will retire as a Patriot. I'm sure that will happen, and he will go into the Hall of Fame as a New England Patriot.
Well, that's a new take. I hadn't heard that come back for the one day. I thought I've just heard a lot of New England people a lot saltier than you. You're a very magnanimous guy. All right, next question. What is your one single favorite Siemon product?
Oh, geez, that is a tough one. I still think that the ZMAX, it's a very close tie between the ZMAX outlet and the Z plug, which we talked about during the podcast. Just both are really great products. I guess I'll just give a slight nudge to the outlet. I don't know why, but yeah, both really good products.
You don't need to have a reason.
Yeah, good.
you helped design the product. It gives you some latitude there. All right, here we go. If you could have dinner with anyone historically significant person, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I got all these folks running through my. I could tell you who I think I would enjoy having. I don't know that it would at the end of the day, but I'm a big fan of Tom Hanks, and I just love his movies over the years. I think he's a great entertainer, great actor, and I think it would be a great dinner to have. I don't know if I had a day to really think it through that I'd come up with Tom, but he's one of my favorite people on earth.
It's better that you don't think about it. And I think that's a great answer. People always say things like Gandhi or Churchill or, Buddha. Tom Hanks. I like Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks. He's a good guy.
Well, I thank you for bearing with me with those last few questions. I really appreciate you taking the time today. This has been hugely helpful, even for me. And I obviously hope it's going to be just helpful for our audience to really understand Cat 6A, from those two angles and start to understand some of the things they need to be considering when making a decision like that. So unless you have any last thoughts, I'm going to thank you for being here. Sign off. Thank everyone for listening, and hope they come back around next time. Any last words?
Well, just thank you for the opportunity, Brian, and it was a pleasure, and it's a Friday, so I wish you a happy Friday. Have a great weekend, and stay safe out there.
You as well. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everybody.